Coach, how are we doing today?
Outstanding. How about you?
Not too bad. Can't complain. Happy to have you here. And
yes.
Competitive game as we expected against Artesia last week, and I felt like it was kind of the same things that have been getting to you.
We just didn't make plays. We made our mistakes, and we didn't make the plays when we needed to, and that was a tough one. I think the only thing I can say out of that game is we know we could beat those teams. We just got to make our plays. That pick, that fumble, and it's tough. We can't fumble the ball, even though on film he was clearly down. He threw the ball out. He landed on the ground when the ball popped out. But it still went down as fumble, and they scored on that, and then Kyle overthrew Shamar on that scramble and went right in the hands of one of their players. Those things hurt us. You take away those two right there, we probably score on both those drives. And then we're going up big, and so no excuses. We just got outplayed. They played better than us on that Friday night, and let's hope that turns when we hit playoffs. We know we can beat them, that's for sure. And we'll
that's
see.
one thing I've said about all three of your losses is that you guys can look at all three of the losses and feel like you could have or should have won the game.
Should have on all of them, and all I know is let's make sure we turn them tables when the playoffs happen, and make sure we don't lose all our kids against Goddard, and then also we get to finish all four quarters against Los Lunas. But Artesia, no excuses. I thought the refs did a great job in that game. We just got to step up and make the tackles when we need to make the tackles. They ran for a lot of yards in that game, and that's unacceptable to our defense. And I know our defense has got a pretty big chip on their shoulders this week, and pretty mad about it. So they've had some pretty good week of practice. So we'll see.
And Roswell's their rushing attack is
pretty darn good.
Yeah,
they're probably the best rushing attack team we played all year, and so we'll see what happens. I know our defense is up for the challenge, and offensively, I think we're ready to go. We've had some pretty crisp practices this week, and we'll see.
Yeah. Roswell, and that's the thing about Roswell. They've had their one really tough game this year against Los Lunas. They lost by a pretty heavy margin.
Right. I'm trying to think. Okay, they played Hobbs.
Yeah.
And Hobbs is struggling this year. They've struggled on film too.
They went on the road and had to beat Farmington. That's not necessarily an easy thing to
okay,
go
so
do.
Wait, there you go. That's who they got. They had Farmington, they had Belen.
Yeah.
And Belen, both Farmington and Belen are doing well. And then they Gadsden.
Yeah, which, unfortunately,
I'm
Gadsden's
trying to think of who.
Year. I'm pulling up their schedule right now.
Yeah, because I was struggling today. I know Farmington actually gave them a pretty good game. They give, again, I think, their old line and D line's pretty darn salty.
And we saw them in a scrimmage last year.
Yeah, we scrimmaged them 2 years in a row. I thought we've handled them well, but even last year, it kind of got me thinking a little bit, because I thought we were pretty stout defensively last year. I thought we had our defense pretty stacked. I know people think, oh, you had your off. No, our defense was stacked last year.
It was.
And they still moved the ball on us last year in that scrimmage, and I was like, holy cow, I didn't think they'd move the ball at all, and they did. I think they scored 3 times on us, and they drove it to score. And so I was like, man, and they returned all those kids. I don't think any of those kids graduated. So, they're a lot like Goddard. I think that whole district, it's going to be a tough one. I mean, I want to see what happens in that district. Don't be surprised if Artesia ain't the one that wins that district. I know everyone says they are, but I don't know. That district can go either way. The only thing Artesia is they got that depth. They do have depth at Artesia. They got a lot of kids that play, and
they actually didn't have Ethan Duff last week.
They didn't. Yeah. They haven't had him, and I think they're saving him for district. I think he had a pretty severe high ankle sprain, is from what I've been told. At least I think that's what. I don't know. Do you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same with you guys. But, you're not going to broadcast the information out there to everybody.
And so it wasn't. Duff changes things. That'd be like us going in a game without Alex Ramirez or something. That's when other kids are going to have to step up, like Bateman and their other kids would have to step up. Do I think they run the ball as much as they did against us? But I don't know if they'd run the ball as much. I think they'd try to throw that ball to Duff a little bit more, and because again, he was their player, no question about it. So.
Yeah, I was impressed with their rushing attack.
Their old line is salty.
Yeah, impressive.
No question about it. I think they got away with quite a few. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't matter. They without a question, they outplayed us that Friday night, and there's no excuses. You can't have an excuse. We had opportunities to win that game, and we didn't do it. And our kids know that. But like I told them, it doesn't change what we got to do. We've got to win. We win our next 4. I think we get a bye in the playoffs, and we move on. And that's kind of what we got to do. So,
and that's what really, you can look at the next 4 games as an opportunity to not have to play a 4th game in the postseason.
That's right.
That's
right.
That's kind of a nice thing to have. By the way, Roswell has played Rodoso at the beginning of the season, and Gadsden, Hobbs, which that's the first time they've beaten Hobbs, I think, since 2000 or something like that.
Right.
Los Lunas, Bowling,
and that was
Farmington.
a close game, though. What was the Hobbs game?
42-37.
Yeah, that was a nail biter. I know that. But I say that, I think I say a nail biter. I think Hobbs drove at the last minute and a half or something, and scored kind of right at the end, and then they didn't get the ball back. Roswell got the ball.
I think that may be right. Yeah. This is a good, but just worth pointing out again. This is a very good football team, and
5-1. I mean, you can't get 5-1 being bad. That's for darn sure.
Yeah,
and we're excited. I don't know. I obviously I'd love to be undefeated right now, but I think our kids, us being healthy is more important than anything. I think we might get one of our kids back this week. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
And you're past the grading period now, which is obviously a positive thing too.
Man,
that's
I
a
think we got them all.
Yeah.
I do. I think we got all our varsity. We I don't think we hit 100% on our whole football team. I think our varsity we pulled it out. But I say that I don't know. We got some pretty big exams tomorrow on a couple of big teachers. So we'll see what happens. I know our kids are doing study halls and stuff tonight. We have our team dinner. I'm going to make it a pretty quick team dinner. We have a parent cooking some of her the traditional food. We're kind of excited about that. And after team dinner, I'm gonna tell the kids I love them and get them out of there and go study for study halls, because I know teachers have already contacted me. We got study hall 7 o'clock, 6:45, 5 o'clock, 3 different teachers, and our kids will be in there doing that study hall. That's for sure.
That's something I just want to point out again. I know we talked about it last week, but the fact that you're so aware and so on top of the fact that the kids need to get the schoolwork done, and that's just as important as getting, or actually more important than getting the X's and O's for the weekend.
It is, yeah. Because if I don't know, yeah. Imagine it would kill me as a coach, and when I say, I know people see how hard I am. Like for instance, at a game, I coach hard. I'm not going to say I don't. I do. I get on our kids. I expect them to be perfect. I want them paying attention to games. I hate calling timeouts when we have when we have players not paying attention when we're on punt team, when we're on kickoff, it's like, come on guys. And I'm gonna get on our kids, but I guarantee and I promise you, every kid on our team knows how much I truly love them and how much I want them to succeed in life. When I'm in their classrooms checking their grades, when I'm on them in the grades, I mean, constantly I want to see our kids walk on graduation day and graduate high school, and it's important to me. It matters to my heart, and our kids know that. I think a perfect example is when people they only see me on the Friday night. They don't see me during the week. But when I'm coaching hard like I do, some people probably think, "Wow, man, how does them kids?" But the kids know. I mean, my kids know. We know how tight we are. We're family, and they know who I am and what I'm about, and how much I truly care about them and stuff. I don't know. It's special.
I will say that. I mean, when you and me talk here, I feel like you're soft spoken, and you talk very passionately about your kids, and you're just as passionate on the football field in practice
absolutely.
And during the games. I mean, you're definitely into what's going on out there, and I think we can all appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
I hope so.
As long as you can turn it off one way or the other.
I did. And the only reason I bring that up, I had someone bring that up to me last game. Man, you're hard on. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I am, but I guarantee I don't play. I'm just as hard on my son as I am, and maybe probably a little harder. Sometimes I am, but I have 2 kids on the team. People forget that. My other kid, I'm just as hard on, and that's Chris Moore, and I think people don't realize that's my son too. And so I coach him pretty hard, and I do, but I want my kids to play with that passion too, though, and I see that. Like I really was hard on my O-line last week. I coached them hard last week. I said it's just not acceptable. I believe they played with that passion I coached them with during the week, because our Coach Gonzalez would coach the same way. I mean, he's seen how upset I was about our O-line play. And our O-line stepped up and played big last week. They played well. Kyle and our receivers are kind of not used to us having that much time to pass the ball. And so we fixed that too. We had receivers stopping routes because usually by then our quarterback had to get rid of the ball. And now he had 3-4 seconds to throw the ball, and receivers like, oh man, I could keep running. It's, so we worked on that a lot this week, that's for sure.
Finding ways to help out your quarterback.
Yeah, we do, and we did. We worked a lot of 4-second passes, which we don't get to work on. And so it was I don't know. It's been a great week. Let's just say that.
Well, and I think, obviously we saw the rushing attack, different kind of rushing attack with Artesia as compared to Goddard. I mean, obviously, night and day in terms of the way they do things. What did you see? I feel like, because I thought at times in the Goddard game, the team did well against the run.
They did.
What did you see in those that maybe you'll be able to apply to the Roswell game, you feel like, maybe? Hard to
let's just
well, okay, I want you to give
I'm not
going to
give our game plan away, that's for sure. But I feel our defense right now has got such an attitude right now because I've called them out, man. I'm growing these kids into being men, and I called them out. Our defense is ready to play. The last couple of days they've been firing off the ball. It's not acceptable. Our defense is better than what we're playing, and we've made some changes too. You're going to see them on again. You're thinking, how many changes can you make? But we did. We made some changes. I think we've filled a couple gaps in our game that Artesia definitely took advantage of that we haven't seen, and they found it and they did not stop doing it, and so. It won't happen again. Let's just say that. And so we're excited about what's and we filled the same problem because they're going to try to do the same thing Goddard did too. And so we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Do you feel like it's partially a mindset thing with defense so far this year?
Defense needs to cycle guys. You got to be kind of a psychopath. You really do. You got to be one of them guys that are just you're gonna sacrifice your whole body for the betterment of the team. And don't think like for a minute. I haven't been preaching that all week in practice and coaching like that in practice. It has been fun. I actually got to go on the defensive side. I talked to Q and I said, man, let me have these positions. I just want to have fun. And it has been a great time. I've had fun in practice. I haven't got to go psycho like that on defense for a while. And so it's been I don't know. I think our defense is ready to play. And we'll see. I'm not going to say by no means, we're going to shut them out. I'm not going to say that. We do have some defensive goals, though. And I'm hoping like heck they reach them. And I'll let you know next week if we reach them goals. And we also have some offensive goals. And I don't know. We'll see. We made a few changes on the offense too, so we'll see.
How long have you been holding on to that Alex Ramirez throw for?
I think I did. I not tell you last week?
I don't think you mentioned it.
We work plays like that, know. And last week, we worked that on Thursday, and I told them, I told the whole team, I said, and coaches were sitting back there laughing at me, and we installed that on Thursday, and I said, the guaranteed touchdown. I said, we will call it in the first half. And I said, guys, everyone do their job. This is a guaranteed touchdown. And so when we called it was the touchdown, I just looked over at my coaches and smiled. I said, I told you. It was because I just knew how hard they were going to come on Alex. Because Alex Ramirez is a baller. He only got 4 catches in the game.
They were trying to shut him down.
They did. But that's where, that's where everything else has to take place. It's, again, we don't care. Kyle, for instance, Kyle's a perfect example. He could care less what his stats are. He don't care if he's thrown for 100 yards, 20. All he cares about is if we win or lose, and that's all. And that's the way our team is. That's the way our team is. I don't care. And Alex is upset. He wants the ball, no question about it. But do you think Alex cares if we win or lose? No. I mean, win. Yes. All he cares about is to win. I mean, that's what matters. And if teams want to, they're gonna,
He wants the football because he feels like he can help the team
win.
You're
darn right.
That's what
You're darn right. And so when you see him getting upset, it's because he wants to. Yeah, that's exactly. It's not. Now, if he doesn't get a ball one time and we win the game, I guarantee Alex is going to be the first one excited as heck that we won the game because that's what he wants to do too. And he's special though. And trust me, as a coaching staff, don't think we didn't talk about that. I said, man, that's not good when we have our key athlete only getting the ball 4 times. I said, we got So we'll see. And we have a lot of weapons on offense. I mean, we got between Bateman and Alex, I think, are probably the best slots in the state. I'd say Duff would be the next one.
And you see what D is becoming.
And is he not getting better?
Yeah, he really is.
He's special,
really is,
isn't he? And anyway, and then so then you got D and Kyle, and I think right now, in my opinion, I've said it. I know you called me. I said that, and you kind of looked at me like, "Are you really?" And I think D is the best running back in the state of New Mexico over Isaac, over all those guys. I do. Talent wise, he's got it all, and I believe Kyle is still the best quarterback in the state. I know his stats may not be like they were last year, but it don't matter to me. Kyle's good. Kyle's really good. He takes care of his business, and he wants to win. You know, there's a play, for instance, and I'm running along.
That's okay.
We had a third down. The one time we had to punt in the second half. Okay, we had a third and I don't know, it was 3rd and 10, or 3rd and 8, or something like. It was 3rd and 8, and I called a play, and it was actually going to go to Bateman, and Bateman was open, but Bateman was only open for about 6 yards, 5 yards, and I just came unglued on Kyle when he came out because he ended up taking a sack. Well, not a sack, but he broke the pocket and ran for like 3 yards, and we had to punt, and I was furious at Kyle, and Kyle's like, "Dad, he was open, but he got the first down." Let me see. And he says, "I'm going to go get the video." And he brings it back, the video to me. And it's true. You know, the safety was sitting right on top of him. He would have caught it, but he would have only got 4 or 5 yards. And I'm like, Kyle's he's pretty darn good. He knows where we are in this game. He knows what he's got to do. He knows if they're going to get the first down, not get the first down, where they are. And, sometimes I think I got to sit back at the coach and know, man, that he's done it a long time. And that was a perfect example. And so, of course, we made our changes after that. We made sure next time when he's open, he's got the first down. So, yeah. And I think that was the only time we had to punt in the game. But we got that 4th down. That was a tough one. That was a miscommunication on the 4th and 10. Yeah. Miscommunication on that. I didn't plan on running that for 10 yards, but it happened. And we got 8 yards instead of 10. So that's all right. We got to learn and move on.
There you go. Well, we'll see what happens this week. And again, district starts next week, and obviously eyes are towards the playoffs. But tomorrow will be
tomorrow's game. On. We're excited about it. I hope everyone comes out. I do. Make the trip. Anyone that's come to our games, the only disappointment is that we didn't win that. But as a high school Friday night game, you cannot be disappointed. It is what a great atmosphere, and our kids just playing their tails off. I mean, it's been fun.
Can't ask for a whole lot more than that.
Yeah, except the win. That's
exactly. Yeah,
the win I want, but I mean, as in a Friday night high school football games, it's been unbelievable. It has.
Coach, appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you.